Are you currently designing your website and you know you should be adding buttons for people to inquire about your services, but you're not too sure what they should link to? Then I've got you covered in this video. So last week we started on the design of a website for one of our clients, and she wasn't sure what the buttons, so the call to action, CTA, would link to. Would it go straight to her email? Would it go into her client management tool? How would she receive the information, and what kind of information, and how would she go to the next phase? So in today's video, I want to show you what I do in my own business. So from the moment someone clicks on the button on my website to inquire about my services, all the way to me onboarding them as a client. And you're going to see that if you follow this process, you're going to be more efficient, you're going to be more organized, you're going to be able to track the inquiries that you get via your website, but you're also going to provide a better client experience. When you send your prospects the right information at the right time, that the client experience is smooth and professional, you will look like an established business, and therefore you potentially will sign more of your ideal higher paying clients. So we're going to move over to the computer and I'm going to show you what my process is, where I save so much time because I'm able to automate some of the steps. And I will be using Dubsado. It's my client management tool, my CRM tool. And I hope that it helps. If you have any questions, please write them down below in the comments. And I will send you my discount code if you want to join Dubsado, if you have a new business and you know a little bit about your ideal client, who you're serving, and what your process is when you take on a project. Dubsado is a great tool because it's made for small businesses and in particular for creatives. So it's perfect for interior designers. But before we talk about that, let's go check it out. All right, so we are on my website, KVM Interior Design. I'm going to take you through my process for getting all these inquiries in and what I do with them once I get their names and their email. So this is the website. This is the famous button I was referring to. It doesn't have to be a colorful button like mine, but mine is pretty, easy to spot. I have multiple on my page so that people don't have to scroll up and down to find the CTA's call to action. They can just, they get to the end of the page, they have another CTA call to action. So when they click on this button, what they see is this page. I built this proposal or this form on Dubsado. Dubsado, as I said, is a CRM tool for creatives, a customer relationship management tool, and it allows to do multiple things, including tracking leads, nurturing those leads or inquiries from the moment that they inquire about your services all the way to onboarding them. It allows you to automate some of the steps in that process. And overall, you will feel more organized, efficient. You'll save time when you use a client management tool. It's made for small businesses. So if you're a solopreneur, it would work perfectly for you. So I built this proposal. As you can see, it's also highly customizable, which is why I love it. For an interior designer, it's perfect. And so this proposal allows for interior designers who are ready to get started with delegating to buy the retainer straight away. So they don't even have to get on a call. If they're clear about my rates that I have on my website, they're clear about the services, they know exactly what they want, they could just buy the retainer and get started today. So this proposal is what it does. It allows them to choose what they need. Then they can fill out the form with their name, their email, and then submit and pay. This is one option. The second option is that they are not ready to purchase yet, so they can still request a call. This is not the only way to do it. What I love about Dubsado is that the possibilities are endless. So you could also just embed a form, a contact form into your website with questions. We actually do that for some of our clients. This is an example of a contact form that you could have already on your website from Dubsado. So you could embed the form onto your website. They could just answer some questions about their projects and then submit. So when you receive the email telling you that you have a new inquiry, you also get all the answers to the questions in this contact form. For me though, I'm going to show you what I do, and then you will know that you have other possibilities as well, such as just sending them straight away from Dubsado a link to book a call in your calendar. And the reason why I haven't done that is because I travel a lot, and depending on which time zone I'm in, at the moment, it might not be the best hours for my clients. So I would rather they tell me when a convenient time is for them. So if they still need a call, they click on this, they get to another Dubsado form. And this is just going to ask them for their name, their email, and what services they're interested in. And this is a great resource for me, and I love that I added that, because when I received the email that I got a new inquiry, I also know which service they're interested in. So it's a great tool to track what people are interested in, which service work or don't work. And I also put this option, and this is great if you have an email list. This is a great option to have. Actually made it required, so that when they fill out this form, they also are consenting to me adding them to my email list. This is one of the ways you can grow your email list and start nurturing these people, these prospects, through sending them newsletters every week or bi-weekly or monthly. So they fill out this form, and this is what happens next. Okay, so the first thing that happens is that I receive, the business owner, me, or you in this case, you will receive an email from Dubsado telling you that you have a new lead with the name. So I put as a task Chris YouTube video, the email, and then what services this person is interested in, and consenting to the emails. And so this is what you receive as the business owner. Now I'm going to show you what the prospect, what the person inquiring about your services receives as an email. And in this case, I wrote the email inside the email section in Dubsado. So Dubsado has something called canned emails. So they're emails that you're going to organize and decide when they should be sent based on your process. And this is the email that you receive immediately when you click on the button on my website. So you receive an email, thank you for requesting your discovery call. Please hit reply and let me know what your availability is like for the call. And then I ask them a couple questions about their businesses. So this is what you receive. As you can see, it's really professional. You have all information that you need. You can just hit reply with the day and the time that is convenient to you. And I also sent our process for delegating, so that you can see that and you have more information about the process before you even get on a call with us. So this is what the pamphlet looks like. I've designed it in Canva, very simple. So you have the step-by-step of how you're going to be able to work with us. So this is great information if you want to send something before the call, so that it removes some of the questions that they might have. So we're in Dubsado now. I want to show you very quickly the form section. But basically, when you fill out the form that you want to get on the call with me, you fill it out, you receive this message, thank you for reaching out, we'll be in touch soon, and that's when you get the email that I just showed you. So this form, I created it within the lead capture. This is what we call a form that we use to capture leads. Leads are just inquiries. This is what we call prospects. So you can build more than one, depending, if you want to have one per service rather than me where I have everything together. The proposal is what I just showed you as well, the purchase service page. Then you can build questionnaires, you can build contracts and sub-agreements. And the canned emails is where you would be starting to write template emails that you will be sending on at different stages of your process. I'm not going to show you everything about Dubsado right now. I really want to focus on what happens when you click on the button on the website. And I'm just going to click on the new lead, which is me, Chris YouTube video. So we know that it was for that. And this is what you see. You see the email that you just received. So Chris, in this case, I should have given it another name because now it's confusing. So hi Chris, Chris from KBM Design here. Let's say, you know, Chris YouTube video. Anyway, this is the email that this prospect, Chris, received. Chris from KBM Design here, so you recognize the email. And this is great because as you send this prospect more emails, when you go into this dashboard, all the emails that you've shared will appear here. So it's really going to make you more efficient because you don't have to look, you know, through all your emails in your inbox. You can just go to the project. So what they call project is just the new client. And you will have all the emails, you'll have all the invoices, all the forms, so the questionnaires, even the lead capture form, which was the contact form, the appointments, and the workflows. So the workflows are just a step-by-step of your process. I set them up from, you know, lead capture form. So from the moment someone clicks on the button on my website all the way to onboarding them as a new client. The reason why I've done that is because in that phase, there is a lot of potential for some of the steps to be automated. And if it's automated, it means that you don't need to do those steps yourself. Dubsado, a computer, can do that for you. So you save time and you save money not having to pay for a VA to do those steps for you. So I love that because as a solopreneur, I need to ensure that my time is well spent. And I don't want to have to do admin all day for all the leads for all the inquiries that come through my website. So this is the first workflow. My onboarding workflow is actually, I have 3 workflows. So 3 of those small workflows. This is the way that I set them up. There's no right way to do it. But if you want more information about how to set up those workflows yourself, I will give you more information at the end of this video. So stay tuned. So as you can see, so the email that you saw was this email requesting a call. Now I see that the scheduler was also applied, which means that when the prospect, Chris YouTube video, answers my email and says, hey Chris, I would like to do the call on this day and this time. If it works for me, then great. I will go to the appointment. So the appointment is pending, right? Because we haven't had it yet. So I'm going to open and it's going to show me the calendar. So imagine that we've decided the call is going to be today at 5 p.m. And then I just have always check the time zone. Very important, especially for me because I'm always moving around. And then I'm going to submit and finish. And this is what Dubsado does. It's going to create the Google Meet link itself. I don't need to go to Google Meet and do that myself. Dubsado is going to do that for me. So I have the time and the date, appointment duration. This is because it's I have different schedulers, but this one is the discovery call, and I've changed the settings so that it works for the discovery call. And let's see what you received. So you as the business owner, when you have confirmed the day and the time in the calendar, you're immediately going to receive an email from Dubsado giving you the details of this appointment. So your appointment with this person has been confirmed. This is the name, the date, the time, the duration, and the link to the video conference, which is Google Meet for me. Now let's see what Chris YouTube video received as an email as soon as the business owner, so Chris, confirm the call, date, time, link, and you can schedule it in your calendar from this button. And then I asked them if they haven't done so already from the first email. I asked them for a couple of information. Then one day before, 24 hours before the call, you're going to receive an email confirming the call again and reminding you that our call is tomorrow. So now if I go back to the appointments, the call is not pending anymore because I've confirmed the time and the date. So it's now in confirmed. And it's also going to show up in your dashboard in the calendar. So every day when you sign in to Dubsado, you will be able to see all the calls that are due on that day. In the dashboard for the prospect, you also have the information such as the name and the email. You can add tags, based on what services they're interested in. So if you had a lead capture form, remember this is the contact form that they would fill out when they click on the button on your website. You would be able, if you had different ones, to assign different tags. So immediately when you get into Dubsado and you check their dashboard, you know if they're interested in your residential service or your commercial service or your e-design service. Okay, so then something really interesting happens. I just went back to the workflows, and because we've scheduled the call, Dubsado created the second workflow that was triggered by the appointment getting scheduled. So then it creates my first task of this workflow is that it created a to-do, scheduled appointment complete. I basically have to resume the workflow if the client continues, which means if the client decides to move forward with my services after the call, then we're going to go through this workflow. And this is me deciding. So this is what I wanted for this workflow. I didn't want it to go ahead without me approving. And it makes sense because if the client is not a good fit for my company, or if the client decides not to move forward with our services, we can't go to the next step, which is to send an invoice, right? So I have to approve this manually. But let's say that, yeah, client Chris YouTube video decides to move forward. I check this, and then I'm gonna see this, the invoice, because I know you guys, it's kind of the same thing as for me. Depending on your process, let's say the next step is the invoice. You can create within the workflows what they call approve buttons, which means that the workflow, the action is not going to move forward unless you approve it. And it makes sense for services such as interior design, where the invoices and the contracts will be customizable. It will be different depending on the client. So you want to make sure that you can go in there, you can build the contract and the invoice the way that works for this client, and then you can approve it, and Dubsado is going to send it for you. But for my company, it's more straightforward. If they want to get started, they have to pay for the retainer. So in that case, I can just edit the invoice if needed, then I'm going to approve it, you're going to receive it. I'm going to change the status to invoice pending, so I know that you haven't paid the invoice yet, and as soon as you pay it, it's going to change the status to invoice paid. So I know that it's paid, and I don't have to worry about it. And so the way that I've set up my workflows is that once you've paid the invoice, it's going to automatically trigger the activation of the client portal. I love the client portal because it really creates an amazing client experience for my clients who have a workspace where they can view all our emails, invoices, the questionnaires, the forms. Everything is in one place. They don't have to scroll up and down through their inbox. And so it's going to automatically trigger the activation of the portal. And then it's going to start the third workflow, which is the onboarding. And some of the things that happened during that onboarding phase is that, as I said, you've paid the invoice, you're going to receive a contract to sign, and then you're going to receive the client onboarding guide, the questionnaire, the waiver to share work. Then it's going to send me a reminder to set up your ClickUp dashboard. This is the dashboard that we use for project management. And so Dubsado is going to tell me at this point that I need to be setting up your dashboard because you've received everything that you were supposed to receive, invoices have been paid, and then it's time to set up the dashboard so that you can start delegating. So as you can see, there's a lot that can be automated via Dubsado. I think it's a great tool to use if you are working on your own, but also if your idea is to add 1, 2, 3 people, because it's going to ensure that you have a process for taking on projects and you follow the process. The process, when it's just in your head, it's very difficult to follow through, and it's very difficult for you to explain it to someone else. So when you have a process that is well documented, you will follow it, you'll become faster, more efficient, more organized, and it's going to be easier to onboard anyone later on. One of the things that I really love about Dubsado is the reminders that you can set up as well. So imagine you filled out the form on my website but you haven't responded. So you haven't responded with the day and the time that suits you for the call. After a few days, Dubsado is going to send you a reminder. Let me show you what the reminder looks like. This is what the reminder looks like. So of course you see it not the way that the client would see it. You see here that it would have the logo and the name. So this is how it customized the emails. It's gonna take the name from the form and plug it in the email. Just checking in to see if you're still interested in booking a call to talk about your outsourcing needs. If you haven't received my first emails, please check your spam, or you can reply to this email with the day and the time that suits you for our call. So this is a reminder, which is great because when we don't have time, we're busy with projects and clients, we don't want to have to chase inquiries. And I know that we obviously, it's not about chasing them, but sending just a quick reminder. People are busy, they may have filled out the form on the go, and you just want to send them a quick reminder a few days later so that they remember about you. So many times I've had people answer this email and not the first email, so it's definitely a great tool to have, and you don't have to remember to do it yourself. Dubsado is automatically going to send this email if the prospect hasn't answered the first email after a few days. The other thing that you can do is obviously when you send the invoice, so the invoice has been created, and if they have not paid the invoice after a few days, it's the same thing. They will be receiving a reminder. It doesn't show here because you can actually do it in the payment plans. I'm not going to go into deep details into this. I can do more detailed tutorials about Dubsado. Just comment below and let me know if you want more tutorials. But I just want to show you quickly in the payment plans, it allows you to decide how much of the payment someone should make. And you can have multiple payment plans. I just have one because it's usually, 100% of the invoice. But this is how it works. You basically choose when the invoice is due after it's been sent to the prospect or the client. And then you can choose to send a reminder. So this is my reminder. I choose in the canned emails. So the canned emails, remember, it's the emails that I set up. Having my process in mind, I set up all the emails, and I can just choose the email that would say, hey, Chris, just reminding you that you still have an open invoice. You can follow this link to pay the invoice. So it's just a reminder a few days after the invoice has not been paid, that it's overdue. You can send 1 or 2 reminders for them to pay the invoice. It's the same thing. People are busy. Sometimes they read the email, but they forget about it. So make sure you have 1 or 2 reminders. So maybe 1 reminder a few days after the first invoice was sent, and then another reminder a few days after that if they still haven't paid the invoice. So this will ensure that everything is taken care of. You don't need to keep everything in your mind of who to follow up with, what you should be doing next. Dubsado is going to help you be more organized, be more in control, because at the end of the day, it's all about feeling more in control and being able to set up a business that can grow, where you can take on more projects and not feel more overwhelmed. So the KVM team also does one-on-one setups for interior designers. So if you are interested in either getting started with Dubsado or improving what you have there already, because you're maybe not using the workflow feature, which is the best in Dubsado in my mind, I'm gonna link down below the website where you can get more information about the setups. The setups are great because instead of you struggling to understand how it works, you get on a call with our expert, you go through your process for taking on projects with your clients. We set up Dubsado for you, and then we do an offboarding call and we record tutorials so that you can understand how to use the software and start using it as part of your client process. And if financially it doesn't make sense for you at this time, we also sell a mini course in our shop where you learn how to set up the workflows yourself in your own time. I will also link it down below. If there's anything that is unclear about Dubsado, about this process, about anything else, I would be more than happy to do other tutorials. So just let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.